My name is Cordelia Winchester, and never in my wildest dreams did I imagine I'd die at 32. As a trauma nurse in Seattle, I'd faced death countless times, but confronting it myself changed everything I thought I understood about life, death, and what lies beyond. I've always been a rational person, someone who trusts science and measurable facts. Before this, I would have dismissed near-death experiences as nothing more than hallucinations caused by a dying brain. But what happened to me felt more vivid and real than anything I've ever known, transforming my entire perspective on existence itself. It started like any other Tuesday morning at Harborview Medical Center. The emergency department was unusually calm, one of those rare quiet moments that always feels like the lull before the chaos. My shift had started at 6 a.m., and by 10:30 I was checking on a teenage patient with a broken arm. The monitors hummed their steady rhythm. Sunlight filtered through the windows, painting soft patterns on the hospital floor. Everything felt ordinary, routine, even safe. Then, without warning, it happened. A crushing pain gripped my chest, so intense it felt like my ribs were caught in a vice. The agony was sharp, overwhelming, and all-consuming. Instinctively, I reached for the wall to steady myself, but my hand never made it. The last thing I heard was my patient screaming for help as my body crumpled to the floor. Darkness enveloped me. Later, I would learn the full extent of what happened next. I suffered a massive pulmonary embolism, a blood clot that had traveled to my lungs. The doctors later explained it was caused by an undiagnosed clotting disorder I'd unknowingly had since birth. For nearly 5 minutes, I was clinically dead. But those 5 minutes felt like an eternity, filled with experiences that profoundly reshaped my understanding of life, death, and what lies beyond. The first thing I remember after the darkness was the surreal sensation of floating. I could see my body lying on the hospital floor as if I were watching from above. The scene below was pure chaos. My colleagues, people I'd worked with for years, were desperately trying to save me. Dr. Martinez, our chief of emergency medicine, was performing chest compressions, his usually composed face tense with focus. Sarah, my best friend and a nurse I'd known since nursing school, was preparing the defibrillator. Her hands were steady, but tears streamed down her face. I wanted to tell them I was okay, that the pain was gone and I felt an indescribable peace, but I couldn't. My voice couldn't reach them. Instead, I watched as they worked on me, calling out medical terms I knew so well. Defib, clear, push 1 of EP. It was like watching a scene from a medical drama, except I was both the patient and the observer. What struck me most wasn't fear. There was none. Despite seeing my lifeless body on the floor, I felt completely calm. It was as though every worry and ounce of stress I'd ever carried had vanished. Instead, I was filled with a profound sense of peace and belonging, as if everything was exactly as it should be. Then, I felt myself being pulled away, drawn into what seemed like a tunnel of light. The sensation of movement was rapid but effortless, natural. The light grew brighter and warmer as I moved closer, but it didn't hurt my eyes. It felt welcoming, like coming home after a long journey. As I traveled through this tunnel, I noticed something extraordinary. My consciousness was expanding. My thoughts were sharper, more profound. Complex questions and mysteries that had once puzzled me now seemed perfectly clear. It was as if a foggy window had been wiped clean, revealing the truths beyond. When I emerged from the tunnel, I found myself in a place that defies earthly description. The colors around me were unlike anything I'd ever seen, shades that don't exist in our world. The air itself seemed alive with a symphony of music, so beautiful it brought me to tears, though I realized I no longer had a physical body. I existed purely as consciousness, a being of awareness and light. Then I saw him. Jesus stood before me, not as he's traditionally depicted, but as a presence both awe-inspiring and deeply familiar. His love radiated like a force of nature, overwhelming yet comforting. It wasn't just an emotion, it was a pure, powerful energy that filled every part of my being. In his presence, I felt the urge to kneel, not out of obligation, but from the sheer magnitude of love and grace he exuded. Or perhaps it wasn't kneeling at all, but rather the sensation of surrendering to something so infinitely good and loving that I could barely comprehend it. Although I had no physical form, his light was brighter than anything I had seen, even more radiant than the tunnel, but it didn't cause discomfort. I could look directly at him. His eyes held the infinite wisdom of the universe and an overwhelming compassion that made me feel completely seen, known, and unconditionally loved. "Cordelia," he said, lifting me to my feet, "there's something you need to see." His voice wasn't spoken aloud but felt like a thought directly transmitted into my consciousness. With a simple gesture, the space around us shifted, revealing something extraordinary, the truth about what happens to souls after death. The realm we stood in, which he explained was the third heaven, was vast beyond comprehension. It wasn't bound by the physical laws or dimensions of Earth. Instead, it seemed to exist across multiple dimensions at once, where various spaces and states of being overlapped and interwove in harmony. "This is not the final heaven," he explained. "It is a transitional realm, a divine way station where souls come immediately after death. It's a place of healing, learning, and preparation for what comes next." The realm was divided into different areas, each with a unique purpose for the souls within. Jesus guided me through these spaces, explaining their significance and the journey of the souls who resided there. What I witnessed challenged everything I thought I knew about death and the afterlife. The first area, which he called the Gardens of Peace, was breathtaking. Souls rested in a radiant golden light, exuding profound peace and contentment. Some appeared to be meditating or praying deeply, while others quietly marveled at the beauty surrounding them. The landscape was alive. Colors and patterns shifted and changed, responding to the thoughts and emotions of the souls. "These are the souls who lived lives of love and service," Jesus explained. "They rest here, growing in understanding and peace, awaiting the final resurrection. Their earthly lives were marked by kindness, compassion, and a desire to help others. Now they experience the first fruits of their good works." I noticed that these souls glowed with an inner light, though some shone brighter than others. Curious, I wondered why this was so. "Their brightness reflects how much they allowed divine love to flow through them during their earthly lives," Jesus said, answering my unspoken question. "Yet even here, they continue to grow brighter as they deepen their understanding and connection to divine love." From there, we entered another section called the Halls of Learning. This place was a hub of activity, filled with amphitheater-like structures made of pure light. Newly arrived souls gathered here, guided by advanced beings, teachers who shared knowledge and wisdom. "This is where souls engage in divine learning," Jesus explained. "They come here to reflect on their earthly experiences, to understand the choices they made, and to grow in their knowledge of the divine plan." The scene was awe-inspiring. Some souls listened intently as their teachers shared profound truths, while others appeared to be actively participating in discussions. This wasn't a place of judgment, but one of growth, a space where understanding replaced regret and clarity dissolved confusion. Each area we visited revealed deeper layers of the afterlife, showing me that death wasn't an end, but a transition. A journey of the soul toward greater love, wisdom, and connection with the divine. The wisdom and compassion I witnessed were beyond anything I could have imagined. Souls participated in life reviews, not as a form of judgment, but as profound opportunities for growth and learning. They were able to see every action they had taken during their earthly lives, not only from their own perspective, but also from the perspective of everyone their actions had affected. Every kind word, selfless act, and moment of love sent ripples of light through the universe. Conversely, every harsh word, selfish action, and moment of cruelty created ripples of darkness. "This isn't about punishment," Jesus said gently, sensing my concern as I watched souls confront their mistakes. "It's about understanding and growth. Every soul must see and comprehend the true impact of their choices to evolve and move forward." One particularly moving scene involved a soul reviewing a moment of kindness. They had given money to a homeless person. Through the review, they saw how that small act of generosity had not only allowed the person to buy food, but had also restored their faith in humanity. That renewed faith led the individual to seek help, turn their life around, and eventually help others. The ripple effects of that single act of kindness had impacted hundreds of lives over time. I also saw souls learning from their mistakes. One soul reviewed a moment of anger when they had spoken harshly to their child. They not only experienced their child's immediate pain, but also saw how that wound had lingered, affecting the child's relationships and self-worth throughout their life. Even in the midst of this difficult review, the process was surrounded by love and compassion. Teachers helped the soul uncover the roots of their anger and guided them on how to heal themselves and, from this realm, offer healing to those they had hurt. In another part of the realm, I witnessed something that deeply moved me: souls working together to help those still on earth. These are what humans often call guardian angels, Jesus explained. Many of these souls choose to remain in this realm to guide and protect those still living. Among them, I recognized my grandmother, appearing vibrant and full of life as she had been in her prime. She smiled at me, and in an instant, I understood how she had been lovingly guiding our family since her passing. She showed me moments I hadn't realized she had been present, comforting my mother during her battle with cancer, standing beside my brother on his wedding day, and even guiding my hands during difficult situations in the emergency room. "Every prayer is heard," my grandmother said, her thoughts flowing directly into my consciousness. "Every moment of need is known. We can't always prevent life's challenges, as they're necessary for growth, but we can send love, strength, and guidance. Sometimes we can even help prevent accidents or influence better decisions, though we must always respect free will." Her words filled me with an indescribable sense of love and connection, reminding me that even in the hardest moments, we are never truly alone. The most profound and eye-opening experience came when Jesus introduced me to what he called the healing chambers. These weren't physical places, but states of being where souls carrying deep wounds from their earthly lives, trauma, addiction, anger, or fear, were being tenderly healed by beings of pure light. "This is something human religions often misunderstand," Jesus said gently. "No soul is ever beyond redemption. Even those who have lived in the deepest darkness hold the capacity for transformation. Love is the most powerful force in existence, and divine love can heal even the most profound wounds." I watched in awe as souls who had committed terrible acts on earth underwent extraordinary healing. This wasn't punishment, but rehabilitation through the power of pure, unconditional love. These souls confronted the truth of their actions and felt the full impact of the pain they had caused, but they were always surrounded by divine compassion and understanding. The process was intense yet deeply transformative, guided by unending patience and love. The healing was unique for each soul. Some needed to fully experience the consequences of their actions to comprehend the ripple effects of their choices. Others needed to reconnect with the divine love they had shut out during their earthly lives. Still, others needed to first heal from their own deep traumas before they could address the harm they had caused to others. In this realm, communication between souls happened not through words, but through pure thought and emotion. I witnessed reunions that transcended earthly relationships, family members reunited with joy and understanding, while even souls who had been enemies in life reconciled as they came to understand the higher purpose behind their earthly conflicts. Every interaction was rooted in absolute truth. No lies, no deception. Time as we understand it didn't exist here. What may seem like centuries of healing and growth can occur in moments as measured on earth, Jesus explained. Every soul progresses at the pace that is right for them. Then Jesus revealed something that expanded my understanding of existence. In one area, advanced souls were actively participating in the creation of new realities. These souls have reached a level of growth where they can assist in the divine act of creation itself, he explained. I watched in amazement as these beings worked with pure energy to design new worlds, life forms, and even guide the evolution of existing planets. Earth is just one small school in a vast universe of learning, Jesus said. There are countless realms and dimensions where souls can grow and evolve. What you know as the physical universe is only the beginning. But then, Jesus showed me something that broke my heart. In a separate area, I saw souls who had chosen to remain in darkness. Unlike the other realms, this place felt cold and isolated. These souls, Jesus explained, have not yet chosen to accept love and healing, but watch closely. I observed as beings of light continuously offered their love to these souls, their patience infinite, their compassion unwavering. No matter how lost these souls appeared, the light never withdrew. This is the essence of true divine love, Jesus said. It never forces, never condemns, but it also never gives up. Every soul, no matter how lost, will eventually find its way back to love. It's not a matter of if, but when. Finally, Jesus shared an urgent message about Earth. Humanity is at a turning point, he said. The choices being made now will shape the future in profound ways. But remember, free will is absolute. The future is not set in stone. He showed me possible futures. Some were breathtakingly beautiful, where humanity had learned to live in harmony with each other and the planet. Others were deeply troubling, filled with suffering and chaos. The potential for greatness and destruction exists within humanity, Jesus said. The path forward depends on the choices made with love and wisdom. His words and the visions he shared left me with a deep sense of hope and responsibility, reminding me that each of us plays a role in shaping not only our personal journey, but the collective destiny of our world. Jesus also showed me potential futures where humanity thrived, living in harmony with each other and nature, using technology for the greater good, with love and wisdom guiding all decisions. But I also saw futures shaped by humanity's choices that led to suffering and destruction. He explained that the key is love, not just in theory, but love in action. Every act of kindness, every moment of forgiveness, every choice for peace over conflict shapes not only the individual soul, but the collective future of humanity. Then Jesus revealed to me something that left me in awe, the interconnected web of all existence. I could see how every soul is connected to every other soul, how every action affects the whole. Love, he explained, is the force that binds everything together. This is why forgiveness is so essential. When you forgive others, you are also healing yourself and contributing to the healing of the entire universe. I saw how prayers and loving thoughts created actual patterns of light that influenced the physical world. I watched as people on Earth sent prayers for their loved ones and saw how these prayers were received and answered by beings of light. Sometimes the answers came in unexpected ways, but no sincere prayer went unanswered. When Jesus told me it wasn't my time yet, he gave me a mission. Tell them what you have seen. He said, tell them that death is not the end, that every soul continues its journey, that love is the most powerful force in existence, and that no one is ever truly lost. Before I returned, Jesus shared one final truth that shook me to my core. He said, the greatest illusion is the illusion of separation. All souls, all beings, all of creation are connected in ways your earthly minds can barely comprehend. The love you give to others, you give to yourself. The harm you do to others, you do to yourself. This is why forgiveness and love are so crucial. They are the forces that heal not just individual souls, but the entire fabric of existence. He showed me how every act of love creates waves of light that ripple through all dimensions of reality, healing and uplifting everything they touch. On the other hand, acts of hatred and fear create darkness that must eventually be transformed by love. This is the great work of all souls, learning to transform darkness into light, fear into love, and separation into unity. Suddenly, I felt myself being pulled back. The last thing I heard was Jesus saying, remember, love is not just a feeling, it's a choice, and it's a choice that must be made again and again in every moment. I gasped awake on the hospital floor, surrounded by my colleagues. The defibrillator had just delivered its third shock. According to medical records, I had been clinically dead for 4 minutes and 52 seconds, but those minutes held an eternity of understanding. Since that day, I have never been the same. I no longer fear death, but I value life more deeply than ever. I see every person as a soul on a journey, deserving of love and understanding. I know that our time on Earth is precious, a unique opportunity to learn and grow in ways that are not possible in other realms. My work as a nurse has taken on new meaning. When I look at patients now, I don't just see their physical bodies. I see their souls, bright and beautiful, no matter their outer circumstances. I understand that healing involves not just the body, but the soul as well. Sometimes, when the conditions are just right, I can even sense the presence of beings of light, those gentle, loving entities who guide and comfort not only patients, but also healthcare workers like myself. Their presence is a reminder that we are never truly alone, even in our most challenging moments. Their energy is palpable, their compassion unwavering, and I have learned to rely on their silent support in ways I can barely put into words. The most important truth I learned during my journey is one that continues to resonate deeply within me. What those who have passed are doing right now is far more beautiful and purposeful than we could ever imagine. They are not simply resting in peace or fading into nothingness, as many might think. No, they are actively growing, learning, and healing. They are continuing their soul's journey in ways that we, with our limited earthly perspective, can hardly grasp. Some souls are even working in service to those still living, helping to guide us, offering comfort and wisdom that transcend time and space. They are participants in a grand cosmic process of evolution, helping to shape the future of existence itself. What is most comforting is that the love that binds all souls, transcending life and death, never dies. It only grows stronger as we pass through the different realms of existence. This love evolves with us, wrapping us in its warmth, guiding us toward ever greater understanding. It is not something that fades away, but rather something that deepens and expands as we journey through each stage of our spiritual growth. The connections we make with others, the love we give and receive, continue beyond our physical lives, becoming part of the fabric of the universe itself. I share this story not to convince anyone of a particular religious view or belief system, but rather to offer a broader perspective that I hope can bring comfort and hope. The journey we are all on, regardless of how we may interpret it, is profound. Whether you believe in what I experienced or not, I hope you can take away this essential truth. Love is the force that moves the universe. It is the heartbeat of existence itself. Every act of love, no matter how small, creates ripples that extend through eternity, touching lives in ways we may never see but always feel. The dead are not gone. They are more alive than ever before, participating in a cosmic dance of evolution, helping to shape the future in ways that defy our comprehension from an earthly perspective. One day, we will all understand this truth for ourselves, but until then, our task is simple yet profound: to learn to love more deeply, to forgive more readily, and to live more fully, knowing that every choice we make doesn't just shape our own soul's journey, but the very fabric of creation itself. In every moment of kindness, in every decision made with compassion, we are adding to the grand tapestry of existence. Every choice we make ripples through the universe, creating a more harmonious world, healing not only ourselves, but the world around us. It is in these moments of love and understanding that we move closer to the truth of who we truly are and the interconnectedness of all life. As we move through our daily lives, let us remember that each action, no matter how small, carries weight in the grand scheme of things. Every act of love, forgiveness, and compassion serves as a building block in the ever-evolving structure of the universe. This knowledge fills me with a sense of awe and gratitude as I realize that my life, my work, and my actions are part of something far greater than I ever imagined. So, I ask you to consider this. What would the world look like if we all chose to love a little more deeply, to forgive a little more quickly, and to live each day with a sense of purpose, knowing that our choices have a lasting impact on the journey of all creation? The truth is, we are all part of something greater. And when we embrace that truth, we become active participants in the unfolding story of the universe, helping to shape a future of love, peace, and interconnectedness for all souls.